All right. Shalom, shalom. Give it about one more minute. All right, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakah, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today, we're going to do a little something different. Let me go ahead and share this. Yeah, so basically, as you can see in the title, I have, 1 second, let me fix this screen share. Let's see. There we go. All right. So I have the title, Interactive Classroom, Come Prepared to Answer Questions. And I was discussing with my brother a day or two ago about something similar to this, which the point of this is basically to whenever we do lessons and we do videos, we go into different breakdowns. We're always, of course, going into it, breaking it down, and explaining it to you, and you are listening and hopefully taking notes and studying those notes. Okay, so pretty much, it's not going to be a necessarily a Q&A. I know that in the past we've done things similar. I don't know how this is going to go. The spirit, just hit me to try something like this. So depending on how it goes, I mean, we'll see. But the point is, I'm going to be asking the questions, and you're going to be putting the answers on the comment board. Now, if you know the answer, I mean, you put the answer on the comment board. You can see I have a stopwatch timer right here. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to set it. I'm going to start it. 30 seconds. You just put whatever your answers are on the comment board, and at the end of 30 seconds, we'll go into it. We'll get the answer of it. And if you didn't, I mean, if you didn't get it right, it's fine. I'm not gonna call anybody out. But if you didn't get it right, it's fine. Just take notes and keep that in mind. With that being said, those that should be answering or that are allowed to answer are the Akiyam, all right, the men. So, if you're a sister, just as the order is, just listen. All right. But for brothers that you know want to participate, just put the answer if you know the answer on the comment board. Now, the main chapter that I had planned was Daniel 7, and just going through asking some questions on that breakdown. And we have gone through that breakdown a good amount of times, enough to where brothers should know it. Okay. Also, the beneficial aspect of it is try to answer it based on your knowledge. Don't just run straight to Google or run straight to the blue letter and try to just find the answer there, because that's not really going to benefit you as much. So within that 30 seconds, try to answer it based on your knowledge of it. All right. And like I said, it's really centered around the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, but I'm going to be asking questions from all over. Okay, sometimes I might throw in some questions, different parts of the scriptures. But keeping in mind that when you're out there on the highways and byways, we're out there to teach our people, right? And in the book of Ezekiel, the third chapter, it says that we're supposed to eat the whole roll and then go and teach the nation of Israel, right? So you will have people that will come up with questions. All right, now they may have questions coming from various different parts. So a part of us learning is to do that studying, as it says in 2 Timothy 2:15, to show ourselves approved unto the Most High. All right. So anyway, with that being said, we're gonna start off actually here in the book of Genesis, the second chapter, and I'm gonna be monitoring the chat as best as I can. If I see any scoffers or demons, I'll block them. But yeah, pretty much then Genesis chapter 2, and we're gonna start at Genesis chapter 2, verse let's see. The question I have here is in there we go, chapter 2, verse 10. All right. So the first question is going to be dealing with the four heads, all right, or the four bodies of water in Genesis the second chapter. So I'm going to read Genesis 2 and 10 to Genesis 2 and 10 to 14. Then I'm going to go in that, and then I'm going to ask the question. So this is Genesis chapter 2, verse 10. It says, "And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into four heads. The name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is much gold. And the gold of that land is good, and there is bdellium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates." Now, I understand that, we may have different connection speeds and all of that. So maybe by the time you hear the question, the time, but it's fine. Just do the best you can. So the first question is the first river, the first body of water. All right, Genesis 2 and 11. It says, "The name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah." So the question is, you have Pison, Gihon, Hiddekel, and of course Euphrates, which we know what that is. But for Pison, Gihon, and Hiddekel, I want the modern names. What do we know them as? What are their modern names? All right, today. Put it all in one comment. Don't break it up. Just put Python equals, you know, uh Gihon equals, Hiddekel equals. If you know it, you go ahead, and then just put your answers on the comment board. Like I said, this is for brothers to answer. The sisters just follow the order and just keep order and don't put answers on the comment board. All right. So that's 30 seconds. I'm going to repeat the question throughout. Um, you have these bodies of water, Genesis 2 and 11 to 14. You have Pison, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Euphrates. So what are the modern names of Pison, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Euphrates? Where are they today? And this is something that we should know because, once again, we've gone over this many different times. Yeah, that was quick. Maybe 30 seconds might be a little too short. Maybe I'll give it a minute. Let's see. And don't be afraid to answer questions. It's for your benefit because remember when you're on the highways and byways, people if somebody comes up to you and they ask you this question while you're on the highways, they're like, "Oh, well, I was reading the book of Genesis, the second chapter." All right. I was reading the book of Genesis, the second chapter, and I was trying to find out, what I was reading here, and it mentioned the four bodies of water, Pison, but I'm not sure really where that is. Could you please explain that to me? At that point, if you out there, you standing on the highways and byways, you teaching or whatever the case is, and our job is to what? To teach the sheep, right? So you go, you teaching, you asking them questions, or they come and they ask you a question. If Now you don't have the answer. You know what I mean? You're kind of stuck there. Now, given you're not gonna know all the answers to everything. You know, somebody might come and tell you, "Oh, I was reading the book of Second Maccabees, the sixth chapter, and the 15th verse, and then it mentioned the princes of night none." You know, what's that talking about? I mean, clearly we're still human, so you're not gonna be able to just recollect that off the top unless you have a memory of like a supercomputer. All right. But even still, you know, you can say, all right, well, hey, let me go back and take a look and refresh. But certain other parts of the scriptures, which are more quote unquote basic parts of the scriptures, we should know. All right. So that was a minute. Nobody answered. I mean, it could be that people are shy, people didn't know, but that's okay. We're gonna go into it. So the Genesis 2 and 11, the name of the first is Pison. It is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is much gold. Right. So now we got to know, okay, well, where is Havilah? All right. And this is where you need to uh, go into that geography as well. You understand the names of places. See, when you read the scriptures and you come across names of locations that you don't know, that's why you got Google. So you open up Google and you take a look and you, oh, okay, well, where's this? So let's take a look. Let's see um, Havilah, or actually, better yet, we also have the blue letter. Let's look up the word Havilah, all right, and get some context on where this is. So dealing with Python, it says it compassive, right? And then it says the whole land of Havilah. We have H2341, which we have Havilah circle. It says here a part of Eden through which flowed the river Pison was probably the gracious Colchis in the northeast corner of Asia Minor near the Caspian Sea. And we're really looking at definition B. It says a district in Arabia of the Ishmaelites, named from the second son of Cush, probably the district of Kualan in the northwestern part of Yemen. Now, what Esau does is, you know, he'll look at these things, he'll do his best to pinpoint where these locations might have been, and he might come close, you know, but that's why sometimes you'll see, like, even if it's dealing with dates, it'll say like circa, you know, meaning like around this time. Or if it's dealing with a location, they'll say like about or around, you know, so that's what they have over here. No, that is not Turkey or Armenia today. It is in Arabia. Okay, so now let's type this in here, right? Let's type in Yemen map and let's get a nice image of that. Let's see. All right, so this is, I think this is pretty decent. No, this is not a good one. All right, I see a brother put the answer on here. Let's take a look. All right, I will Mawar, Python, Red Sea, Gihon, Nile River, Hidiko, Tigris River. That's it. That's it. All right, you got it. Now let's go into it. So here we have Yemen, right? Now we know Yemen, when you look on it, it's pretty much at the bottom of Saudi Arabia. So let's type in here Saudi Arabia. Take a look here. All right, this might be a good one to use. So when you take a look at this, you can see now you have, if you just take a look at this big piece of land, according to what we're seeing here in the, no, it's all good, brother. It's all good. Don't stress it. You know, keep your eyes on the road. You know, hands on the wheels, eyes on the road. But anyway, as you can see, Yemen, right? So the scripture said that this body of water, Pison, was it that compasseth the whole land of Havilah. All right. So when you look at the body of water that compasseth the whole land of Havilah, you have the Red Sea, like the brother said, right? The Red Sea, which you can see if you look at this big piece of land right here, it goes from the west coming on down south, and then it connects into the Arabian Sea. But the answer to that question would be Pison is the Red Sea. Okay. And then it says here, it compasseth the whole land of Havilah where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and onyx and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon, right? So, like the brother said, Gihon is the Nile River. And really, it gives it away because when you read it, it says, the same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. All right. And when you think of the main body of water, all right, in that land, it's the Nile River. Okay. And then the third, it says, and the name of the third river is Hidiko. that is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria, and the fourth river is Euphrates. Okay, Euphrates, they kept the name as is, but the Hiddekel is the Tigris. Because now, if you go up here and we take a look at the Tigris River, you can see here, yeah, so you can see Tigris River over here, which they don't really put the names of the locations, but Assyria is pretty much around this region. Okay, so as it says, it is it that goeth toward the east of Assyria, and like the brother said, it is the Tigris River. So the answer to that question, Genesis 2:11 to 14, the four bodies of water, once again, Pison is the Red Sea, Gihon is the Nile River, Hiddekel is the Tigris River, and Euphrates is, well, the Euphrates River. Okay, so that was a good one. Next question. Let's go into the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, because see, there's different parts to studying, right? You have, sometimes somebody may ask you a question, and you answer it based on what you know, right? You may know the answer to the question, right? But the scriptures talk about not just knowing, but you have to understand. It says, with all that getting, get understanding, right? So a part of studying the scriptures is you have to get understanding of what it is that you're reading, or what it is that you know, right? So there's certain questions, there's certain instances where if you're watching the video per se, and then you go into a precept, say, oh yeah, that means this, that means that. But then when somebody asks you a direct question, oh, this verse right here, what does it mean? Or break down this verse or this chapter to me. Sometimes you may know it, but then you start to get a little, damn, is it really this? Even though you know it, you may feel, oh, is it really this? Are you sure you're not, now you done gone over this many times before, but now you're little, here and there, because remember, you gotta have confidence in your answers. If you know, or you believe that this is the correct answer, remember, when you're out there teaching, you gotta have confidence in that. If somebody comes and asks you a question and you're supposed to be teaching, you got to answer the question with authority, okay, in the sense that you know what you're talking about. Because if they ask you, oh, well, what is I don't know, what tribe was Daniel from, or something like that, and you're like, Daniel, I mean, I think, was he from now you asking you asking the person the question, they're gonna look at you like, I don't know, I'm here to ask you. So sometimes you may know the answer, but another part is when you understand whatever subject it is, whatever part of the scriptures it is, the more understanding you gain, the more confidence you'll have in your answers. To where if somebody asks you a question, you can answer with confidence, because all right, I studied this, I know where this location is, I looked into this word, I found the proof as to why this answer is what it is. All right. So next question. As a matter of fact, before jumping into Daniel 7, we're going to jump into another question. So the next question is, we call ourselves Hebrew Israelites, so we should know at least a bit of Hebrew. So let's deal with the name Abraham. All right, we all know who Abraham is, the patriarch Abraham. Let's deal with the name Abraham. All right, what is Abraham's name? Right, what is the Hebrew word for Abraham, and what does it mean? Okay, the Hebrew word for Abraham, you can type in the transliteration, but what is Abraham in Hebrew, and what does it mean? You can put it all in one comment. Abraham in Hebrew, what does it mean? Maybe I'll put this to a minute and 30 seconds or something along those lines. Okay, because remember, once again, you gotta go past knowing, and you gotta hit that point of understanding. Okay, when you study the scriptures, um, nah, you close, but not Abraham. Yeah, what is Abraham in Hebrew, and what does it mean? That's it, Abraham. Okay, all right. Father of a multitude. All right. So in the Hebrew, what would it be? And for an answer like that, I mean, just like If I was to ask, for example, what is Judah in Hebrew, I don't expect you to type Hebrew characters. You can just type Yahweh. Okay, we have Abraham, close but not it. Um, Abraham, close but not it. Remember, you Abraham, like the brother put, father of a multitude. Yeah, you got the meaning right, but the Hebrew, then and pretty much you're close in the way you typing it, right? Like for example, if I said Judah in Hebrew, you would put Yah, Ha, Wa, Da. That's it. That's it. That's it. All right. Abraham, okay, father of a multitude, and you have the Abraham. Yep, that's it. That's it. So you have, yeah, I totally forgot about this timer, but that's all right. So you have Abraham, which is you have the word Abba, all right, in there. So when you hear that father of a multitude, because when you say Abra is not father, right? Because the name Abraham means father of a multitude. So you have Abba Raham. So you have Abba, where you get the word father from, and then Raham, where you get the multitude part of it from. Okay, so yes, the name Abraham in the Hebrew is Abba Raham, which is father of a multitude. That was good. So now a follow-up question on that, which is, and this time I'll stick to the actual time. I'll leave it for a minute and 30 seconds. Afterwards, I'll see what brothers have on here. The next question is, um, we know Abraham's name is Abraham, but what was Abraham's name before it was Abraham? What was that in the Hebrew, and what does it mean? Abraham's name before it was changed to Abraham. What was his name in Hebrew, and what does it mean? Okay, I see some answers. Let's give it 30 more seconds. Okay. All right. Let's see what Buzz got. All right, we have Abaraham, Abaram, Abram, Abaram, Abaram, Father exalted. Yep, yep. All right, cool. Yep, that's it. That's it. So the answer is Abaram. Okay. Once again, having the word Abba in there for father, and then Rum. So as the brother said, father exalted or exalted father. So you have the word Abba, which is father, and then you have the Rum, which is the exalted. Okay, so Abba Rum, father exalted or exalted father. So going over it again, you have Abram, right, which was his name before it got changed to Abraham, because the Lord told him, "I will make you a father of a multitude. Many nations are going to come from you." So then his name got changed to Abraham, but before it got changed to Abraham, it was Abram, which is Abba Rum, which is father exalted. And then when it got changed to Abraham, which is Abba Raham, which is father of a multitude. All right, or father of many nations, however you want to put that there. Okay, so good stuff, good stuff. All right, let's see what else I have in here. All right, let's deal with let's deal with another Hebrew question, and then we'll come back to Daniel 7. So let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 7, verse 14. And this right here is a prophecy concerning Yahushua. And it says, I'm going to read it real quick, Isaiah 7 and 14. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Now, the question is, let me reset this timer, and I'll repeat the question twice, and then I'll start the timer. The question is, what are the two Hebrew words for virgin in Isaiah? Well, sorry. What are the two Hebrew words for virgin in, well, like I said, in Hebrew, right? And then there'll be a follow-up question after that. But what are the two Hebrew words in for virgin that we know of? You have Isaiah 7 and 14. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin, that's the word we're looking at, shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. So in the Hebrew, there are two words, two known words for virgin. And what are they in Hebrew? And what do they mean? I give that a minute and 30 seconds. What are the two Hebrew words for virgin and what do they mean? All right, I see some answers. We'll give it a little bit more. I think maybe next time I'll play some non-copyright background music. Okay. All right. We have okay, we have Ayalama and Bathwala. Ayalama and Bathwala. We have one that has never had sex and one that is a very young woman of marriageable age, and a literal untouched woman. That's it. All right. That's it. So once again, you have the two Hebrew words, which are Ayalama and Bathwala. Okay. And as the brothers put up there, you have Bathwala, which is a woman that has never had sex before. And then you had Ayalama, which is a young woman of marriageable age. Okay. And it's important to know these because when you deal with something like Isaiah 7 and 14, okay, Bathwala, actual virgin, yep, Deuteronomy 22 and 18, yep, that's it. Because when you deal with these verses in English, we know that there's in English all you see is virgin, and people in their minds, the second they see that word virgin, they automatically assume oh, a woman that's never had sex before. However, when you go into the Hebrew, you find out, well, there's actually two possible words that can be translated into the English word virgin. So I need to go and find out what word is there. So if you read this in English, you would think that it's talking about Bathwala, right? A untouched woman. But in actuality, let's go into it. Let's find out what is the Hebrew word over here. All right. So you have okay, I lama, which is virgin, young woman. They have of of marriageable age. And then it says what? Made or newly married. Would you look at that? See, so this is something that the Christians will try to use also and say, oh well, Mary, see, it says a virgin shall conceive, and then they run with it. You know, they run faster than Usain Bolt. They take the word virgin and say, oh yeah, see, a woman that's never. But the word there is ilama, which is a young woman of marriageable age, all right, or a maid or newly married. Now, if the word there was bathwala, which means an actual literal woman that's never quote unquote known a man, right? Then you could say, oh, okay, then you know it's a woman that's never known a man that's gonna have that's gonna have kids or whatever the case is. All right, good stuff, good stuff. Um, so now let's go into the book of Daniel, and like I said, Daniel 7 is just like the fallback chapter. As the spirit hits me with different questions, I'll throw different questions. Sometimes they'll come as curveballs, sometimes they'll be straightforward, but it's just a test. It's to test your knowledge on it. It's to get the spiritual juices flowing, the spiritual gears grinding. Okay, to refresh you on these things. All right, so Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. It says, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed, Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. So now let's deal with Daniel. Okay, we read the book of Daniel, we go into prophecies that are in the book of Daniel. But who is Daniel? Let's deal with Daniel. So it says here in Daniel 7 and 1, right? In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions upon his head, or visions of his head upon his bed. So Daniel was in Babylon. The question is, what event took place that ended up Daniel being in Babylon? Right? What event happened that led to Daniel being in Babylon? I give that a minute. There's something significant that took place that basically led to Daniel ending up in Babylon. Of course, it wasn't just Daniel, but right now we're dealing with Daniel. What event took place that led to Daniel ending up in Babylon? All right. Let's see. Got caught up with chariots. Babylonians took down Jerusalem. According to the Hebrew Bible, Daniel was a noble Jewish youth of Jerusalem taken into captivity by Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon, serving the king and his successors with loyalty. The second southern kingdom. Daniel and the other three young men were brought into Babylon in the first deportation of the express purpose of being trained, served in Babylon, siege Jerusalem. Okay, all right. Jerusalem was besieged and took Daniel and three other men captives they took. All right, cool. So we have some answers here. Um, yes, the portion about Jerusalem being under siege, all right, was that part is good. Yep, that part is correct. However, they didn't take just Daniel, and the three holy children. They're emphasized, but they weren't the only ones that were taken there. Also, the siege wasn't actually in. You know what? Before I just give that away, let me turn that into a question. Right. So we have 70 AD. So let's think about that. You have Jerusalem that was besieged a couple of times, right? And we know most notably 70 AD, but that actually wasn't the only time Jerusalem was besieged. Okay. So the siege that brothers are referring to on this one is I'm just gonna say it anyway. The siege that brothers are referring to here is when the Babylonians besieged Jerusalem. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's find out a bit about that. Um, let's see, siege of Jerusalem. So yes, the answer is correct. What How Daniel ended up in Babylon was when the Babylonians under Nebuchadnezzar II came up and besieged Jerusalem and eventually ended up destroying it. But prior to that, they besieged Jerusalem and they took captive some of the nobles, and people from Jerusalem to Babylon to to train them and raise them up, to speak the Babylonian tongue and so on and so forth. And Daniel and the three holy children happened to be a part of those captives. So that's how Daniel ended up in Babylon. Now, you have siege of Jerusalem, they have 70 AD, but that wasn't the only siege of Jerusalem. That was I guess I would say most widely known. But let's see, 586. Okay. Yeah, let's take this out here. Oh Lord. Okay, so you have siege of Jerusalem 587 BC. It says this article is about the siege that occurred in 589 to 587 BC, not to be not to be confused with Nebuchadnezzar's earlier siege of Jerusalem in 597. So let's go up to 597 and let's deal with that. This article is about the siege that occurred in 597 BC, not to be confused with the second siege by Nebuchadnezzar, see Siege of Jerusalem 587. Now, the one in 587/586 was when they actually, if I'm not mistaken, destroyed the walls and then destroyed the temple and burnt the scrolls and the law and all of those things. But prior to that was when Nebuchadnezzar came and then they took captives away. Okay, but let's see what we have in here. It says here, the siege of Jerusalem, 597 BC, was a military campaign carried out by Nebuchadnezzar II, king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, in which he besieged Jerusalem, then capital of the kingdom of Judah. The city surrendered, with King Jeconiah of Judah deported to Babylon and replaced by his Babylonian appointed uncle Zedekiah. The siege was recorded by both the Hebrew Bible and the Babylonian Nebuchadnezzar Chronicle. It says in 601 BC, Nebuchadnezzar unsuccessfully attempted to take Egypt and was repulsed by heavy losses. Jehoiakim, king of Judah, seized the opportunity to revolt against Babylonian rule, taking a pro-Egyptian position despite the strong remonstrances of the prophet Jeremiah. Jehoiakim died for reasons unclear and was succeeded by his young son Jeconiah. Oh, here we go. It says the Babylonians besieged Jerusalem, and in March 597 BC, the city surrendered. Jeconiah, his court, and other prominent citizens and craftsmen were deported to Babylon. This event is considered to be the start of the Babylonian captivity and of the Jewish diaspora. Jeconiah's uncle, Zedekiah, was installed as a vassal king of Judah. A decade later, Zedekiah launched another rebellion against the Babylonians, which was brutally crushed by Nebuchadnezzar. In 587 BC, a second siege of Jerusalem culminated in the destruction of the city and first temple, bringing an end to the kingdom of Judah. All right, so there you go. Shalom, shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Brakatham. Okay, so the answer to that question was the siege of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar prior to the destruction of Jerusalem. That is how Daniel ended up a captive in Babylon. So let's keep going. It says, Daniel spake and said, Daniel chapter 7, verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and was made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So, Daniel chapter 7, verse 4, the question is, I'm going to read it again. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So, who is this first that was like a lion? What does that represent? And what does the eagle's wings represent? You had the lion with the eagles, and it had eagle's wings. So, what does that represent? That's the first question. I'll give it a minute. Now, I don't think we'll be able to go through the whole book of Daniel this time, but just a few questions, going through. All right, a few more seconds. All right, cool. So, Daniel chapter 7, verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Do. Persian Greek Empire, lion, Judah, eagle. All right. So the lion that had eagle's wings represents the Assyrio Babylonian Empire, because when you go into, let's pull up the map here. Let's see, Syrian. Maybe let's look up the Neo Syrian Empire. Now, I'm not going to go into too many details, but you're always more than welcome to do some more exploring, from here. But when you look up the Assyrian Empire, you basically had north, which were the Assyrians, and you also had the south, which was Babylon or the Babylonians. Okay, and at this time, when the Assyrians were in rulership, they had authority or control over the Babylonians. Okay, so one example is, let's look up one of the Assyrian kings. Let's look up somebody like mm, Sennacherib, which he was a demon of his own. But let's see. Do they have it here? So typically, there we go. So you see here, Sennacherib, you see it says King of Assyria, King of Babylon, King of the four corners of the world, King of the universe, right? And this is because, hey, it's all good, brother. It's we all here to learn. It's all good. It's not to put anybody on the spot or anything like that. So you have King of Assyria, King of Babylon. Now you had the Assyrians that were on top, and you had the Babylonians that were under them. Okay, the lion represents the Babylonians, all right, or the Babylonian Empire, and the wings, or the wings really represent the Assyrians. However, prior to the Babylonians coming up into power, they were under the control of the Assyrians. Okay, so you'll have a term of Assyrio-Babylonian Empire, where the Babylonians were under the rule of the Assyrians. And also, when you look up the logo or this one of the symbols of the Assyrians, you'll see let me put this here. You'll see it'll look like a almost like a lion with wings, right? Let's see, Assyrian lion with wings. There you go. So you see something like this. I think even if you go to the is it the Met, but you'll see these different kinds of images, right? Different kinds of beasts. And there's one, this one looks like it has hooves, but there's another one where it actually looks like a lion with eagle's wings, where you see like the paws and everything. Yeah, something like this. All right, and then it'll have the head on top. Okay. So it says here, continuing in Daniel 7, right? So the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, which represented the Assyrio-Babylonian Empire. And then it goes on and says, I beheld till the wings thereof. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth. Okay, so now you can imagine if the when you had the Assyrians that had rulership over the Babylonians, and then at some point it says, what? I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And this was representing, yeah, Khan, the griffin. And this is representing the fall of the Assyrians, all right, and the rising up, because it's going to tell you, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So that's when the Babylonians came up from under the Assyrians and came up into powership into rulership. All right. Now, a series of events. See, that's the thing about Daniel the seventh chapter. There's a whole lot that occurs within each particular verse. Okay, and you can spend, as long as you want going into it, but pretty much the fourth verse contains the events of the Assyrians, the Assyrio-Babylonian Empire, and then eventually the fall of the Assyrians and the rise of the Babylonians into power. Okay, and that all takes place there. Now, what prompted the fall of the Assyrian Empire is when you go back into the history, as the Assyrians were going around conquering and taking over these lands, you can see they reached through Persia and to parts of Media and so on and so forth. Okay, now two prominent individuals that basically played the big role in taking down the Assyrian Empire were, well, actually, let me ask that. That's the next question. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, it's okay. But who, maybe instead of the individuals, I'll say, what were the two nations, all right, that came together to take down the Assyrian Empire? And this is more on the history side. So let me put that on there. I'll give it a minute. All right, there were two. Now we know one of them is Babylon. That's already given. But there was another that joined forces with them to take down the Assyrians. And that's how the wings were plucked. All right, about 10 more seconds. All right, cool, cool. So let's go into it. Um, so the two we have the Medo-Persian, Medes and Persians, the Medes, Persians. Okay, so the other nation that, all right, the other nation that helped with the Babylonians to take down the Neo-Assyrian Empire were the Medes. Okay, now you have the the Medes and the Persians are two different nations. Okay, two different nations, and at this time, the ones that were in prominent rulership, because when you say the Medo-Persians, it's kind of right, because you had the relationship between the Medes and the Persians, where for a period of time you had the Persians that were like the ruling class over the Medes and the rest of the, sorry, you had the Medes that were like the ruling class over the Persians and the rest of the Medes. But then over time that flipped, and then you had the Persians come on top, and they were basically the dominant ones. But at this point, the ones that actually helped the Babylonians take down the Assyrians were the Medes. Okay, you had the Babylonians and the Medes, and the two heads, or the two leaders of those, were on the side of the Babylonians. Which, another quick question: what nation of people were the Babylonians at this time? The Neo-Babylonians that I'm referring on to, what nation of people were they? So when I say that, I mean like Nebuchadnezzar II, his father, um, you know, Belshazzar. What nation of people were they? I give it about 30 seconds. And yeah, brother, I see your question. I got you. No worries. All right. Cool. So the first, let's deal with the two questions, right? The first one was, what nation of people were the Neo-Babylonians at this time? And I'm dealing with like the ruling class, which was Nebuchadnezzar, his father, Belshazzar, them. They were actually the Assyrians. Okay, they were Nebuchadnezzar, and the ruling class of the Neo-Babylonian Empire were Assyrians. So now let's prove that. Let's go real quick to the book of Judith. There are a few chapters in the book of Judith that go into this, but let's see. I think Judith, the first chapter, also goes into it. Judith, the first chapter. All right, so let's read at the first chapter, and then I believe coming down to Yep. All right. So this is Judith chapter 1 verse 1. It says, in the 12th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, which is Nebuchadnezzar, but in the Greek, they when you transliterate it, that's how they have it as, but it's Nebuchadnezzar. It says, who reigned in Nineveh, the great city, in the days of Arphaxad, which reigned over the Medes in Ecbatane. And then you come down, so we know we're dealing we're dealing with the around this time we're dealing with the Nebuchadnezzar, right? So when you come on down to verse 7, it says here, then Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, sent unto all that dwell in Persia, and unto all that dwell westward, and unto all those that dwell in Cilicia and Damascus and Libanus and Antilibanus, and to all that dwell upon the seacoast. All right, and then he goes on with his message. But the main point here is that it says that what Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians. So Nebuchadnezzar, his father Nabopolassar, his descendants all the way up on down onto Belshazzar, they were actually Assyrians. Okay, they were not Hamites; they were Assyrians. Typically, when people hear Babylonians, you think of Hamites, but when you go into the history, at the time of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, those that were ruling on top were not Hamites; they were Assyrians. Okay, and that leads me to another question. And then after asking this question, I'll answer the brother's question about the difference between the Medes and the Persians. I believe that was your question, right, brother? What is the difference between the Medes and the Persians? But here's another follow-up question. The question is dealing with the since we mentioned the Medes, okay, and or sorry, since we mentioned the Assyrians, let's deal with and this is not for this specific question, it's not going to be open book, so you can't go look it up. All right, you can't go look it up. You gotta tell me what it is off the top. Let me just okay. So the next question is, you have Noah, and we know that Noah had three sons. All right, so we're going to focus with Shem. Now, out of Shem, the first question is, how many how many sons did Shem have? Let me start that. 30 seconds. How many sons does Shem have? I'll give it maybe a few more. All right. How many sons does Shem have? Okay. um. Oh, you tell me. You tell me, brother. I'm asking you, so you tell me. You can't ask me. Let's see. The correct answer is five. All right. Shem had five sons. Now the follow-up question is, what are the names of the sons of Shem? Direct. I mean, his direct sons, not his like uh three or four, five generation descendants, but his direct sons. He had five sons. What were the names of Shem's sons? If you don't know all five, it's fine. You can list whichever ones that you know they came from Shem. Now we also come from Shem. What are the names of the five sons of Shem? About 30 more seconds. All right. Cool, cool. Let's see what we have here. We have Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad. Okay, we have Elam, Lud, Ashur, Aram, Arphaxad. That's it. That's it. Elam, Lud, Ashur, Aram, Arphaxad was the fifth. Yep. Arphaxad is the one. Now, Terah is a descendant of Shem, but he wasn't one of the direct sons of Shem. Eber or Ibar is also a descendant of Shem, but wasn't one of the direct sons of Shem. The five sons were, as the brother listed, you have Elam, Arphaxad, Lud, Ashur, and Aram. Okay, and from so now here's another follow-up question. All right, we have these five names, right? Here's another follow-up question. Of these five, which one of them do we as the Israelites descend from? Of the five names, the five sons of Shem, who do the Hebrew Israelites come from? This I'll give 25 seconds. All right, cool. All right, we see our Arphaxad. Yep, that's it. The correct answer is our Arphaxad. Keep in mind our facts had. But keep in mind that we're dealing with the descendants of Shem, right? So we're dealing with of the five sons of Shem. Where do the Hebrew Israelites come from? So the father is Shem, and then of his sons, which one do we come from? And the answer is our Arphaxad. So we have about 5 minutes left. So what I'll do is hey, it's all good. We all learning. Um, So about 4 minutes left. So I'll answer the question that you had, brother, which was what is the difference between, or maybe I won't answer it. I'll have one of you answer it. So what is the difference between the Medes and the Persians? The difference between the Medes and the Persians. Let me reset. Maybe about a minute and 30 seconds. A few more seconds. Difference between the Medes and the Persians. All right. Let's see what we have here. Medes, Japhites, Persians, Elam. That's it. All right. They are two different nations of people. Yep. Yep. Even though the Medes came up first, the Persians were higher. The Medes were higher financially, and the Persians were greater in the military strength. Yep. But in the overall sense, the Medes and the Persians are, like the brother said, of two different nations. Okay. The Medes come from Japheth, and the Persians come from Elam, which when you go back to the sons of Shem, Slakia, the sons of Noah, you had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. All right. And so from Shem, remember that we listed the sons of Shem, and one of them was Elam, okay, which is where the Persians come from. And then of the sons of Japheth, you have Madai. Okay, according to, let's go to real quick, the letter. All right, let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 10, which is where you'll get the genealogy. Okay, the generations of Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. So when we deal with the sons of Japheth, right, according to Genesis 10 and 2, it says the sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tyrus. And when you look into Madai, let's come here, Madaya, it says Middle Land. It says here, a people descended from the son of Japheth, and who inhabited the territory of Media, okay, which are otherwise the Medes. So the difference is that the Medes and the Persians are two different nations. All right. Sometimes you'll say like Medo-Persian Empire, but these are not the same people. They're two different nations, but they were just in the same region or the same territory, and so you would have one nation over another for a period of time, and then the other would come up back on top. All right. So going back to Daniel 7 and 4, we were dealing with the wings being plucked up, right, or being plucked, which represented the fall of the Assyrian Empire or the Neo-Assyrian Empire, and that was by the hand of the Babylonians and the Medes, okay, which joined forces, and it started with the I guess you could say the king of the Babylonians at the time, which was Nabopolassar. Okay, he was the father of Nebuchadnezzar II, and along with the help of Cyaxares, that is spelt Cyaxares, Cyaxares. All right, but he was a king of the Medes. By his help, him and Nabopolassar basically took down the Neo-Assyrian Empire. So that's how the wings were plucked. And when that happened, that's when it gave rise to the reign of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Okay, and then followed the rest of the empires from there. So I don't know how long this lesson. Oh, damn! Started an hour ago. Wow, that's interesting. Um, cool. So yeah, Lord willing, I'm gonna end it here. Like I said, it's just the interactive classroom. I was discussing with my brother, and the Spirit just hit me to just try it out and see, because another way of retaining information is dealing with questions. When you're asked certain questions, yeah, you may get it wrong, but don't make that, like, even if you feel bad, let it be onto motivation, to where you're like, oh wow, I didn't even know that. What would have happened if I was on the highways and byways and somebody asked me that? So now I'm motivated to go learn about these, so any question that I didn't get right, I'm gonna jot it down, I'm gonna go study it, I'm gonna read about it, I'm gonna go into it and learn it, because I know that we've done videos on a lot of these topics, but sometimes those videos have either been taken down, or you can't find them, or the channel was deleted, and now we usually just go into like prophecies. We deal with the more current events, which is very important, but some of these little questions here and there, whether it's in the Hebrew or whether it's about a specific breakdown or something like that, you might not necessarily, you might miss it. You might not know, oh, let me go and look into this. So through the Spirit, Lord willing, this was beneficial and edifying, to brothers to learn more. So we'll see how the Spirit goes. If the Spirit permits, Lord willing, maybe at some point I might do another one, or see, see how that would go. But like I said, yeah, pretty much can end it here. Hey, well, through the Spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, brother said is helpful. So, let's see how it goes. I'll try to do it more often, but all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash, and until next time, Shalom.